Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I am April Martinez.
And I am Isani Ketano.
And good morning on this lovely Monday morning. Good morning,
Yes.
Isani. How was the weekend?
Good morning. Man, I can't complain. Special weekend for me this past couple of days. Yeah.
You had a birthday and you never tell me. That's the only thing I can think of. You did!
I'm not one for putting it all out there that kind of way, but yeah, I celebrated my birthday this weekend.
Belated
and
birthday.
I enjoyed myself. So I'll take this opportunity then to thank all my family and friends who showed up on Saturday. It was special to me and I genuinely appreciated it.
You know what? When you walked in this morning, I was like, there is a glow. There is something different. Now I know. Happy birthday.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot buzzing on the news this weekend, which we will leave for Eye on the News. But just to get a bit ahead of ourselves, you know, there's a lot that fluctuated from Belize meeting with diaspora all the way to certain murders that happened this weekend, which we'll get into further.
Quite an eventful weekend for all the good and bad reasons that we've come to accept the Belizean experience as. But yeah, I mean, as you rightly said, a lot of those points will be discussed later on in the show. Suffice to say that we all go back to work today. And
full week.
That September celebration vibe is waning. We've been over the hump in respect of all the activities that were planned for the month of September.
Yeah.
So I presume that over the next week or so, we'll be coming down from that high.
I mean, I'm still feeling that certain people will still take this last week to have one last hurrah and celebrate. But yes, you know, we're back. Full week, back to a regular working week. We don't have another holiday until mid-October. So take the time to recuperate and get back to business, kind of. But
back to the normal course, as we'd call it, right?
It was crazy. Last week was crazy. I felt that Tuesday felt like a Friday, and then Thursday felt like a Monday, and then back to Friday again.
It threw things out of whack. I mean, for the better part of last week, for me, in terms of my work schedule, things were topsy-turvy because you have Monday off, you come back Tuesday, you have Wednesday off. So Tuesday was like a Monday, Friday in terms of the workload and the anticipation of the day off the following day.
But does does news get day off? That is a question to...
Well, not really.
Yeah.
The news doesn't wait for anybody. It happens as a matter of course, right? But like I'm saying, so Tuesday felt like a Monday because we're catching up with all the events of the extended weekend, but it also felt like a Friday because there was a day off the following day, right? So it was one of those things where you're trying to get out of work early, but your plate is full, right? So it just kind of felt that way, and then when you come back on Thursday, it was to kind of catch up from what happened on Wednesday.
And then you still can't really catch up because, again, like you said, it's a plate, so you kind of try to balance it off with Thursday and Friday, but it's not enough because you technically missed 2 days out of the week. But you know, I think, I mean, it was a one-time holiday that Monday, and you know, we'll resume back to our regular holiday schedule next year.
I think what we need to do, and this is perhaps just a note to self, we need to follow up with the chamber to see if their request had been either granted or considered, right? Formally, just so we have that on record, because they had made a request asking the government to put off, so to speak, the payment for the time and a half that was given for Monday.
I mean, a lot of businesses were open on Monday. That I can speak for Belmapana and Kaya. Businesses were open on Monday. I know businesses definitely closed on Wednesday because that is the holiday. But yeah, I mean, it's easy from the standpoint of the employee to say, well, you know what, I get time and a half. But we don't think about the employer, especially private businesses that have to find the money for pay. You know.
Well, that's true. But at the same time, too, look, I am not batting for or against. All I am saying, from my humble end, I appreciated last Monday as a day off, albeit a one-off affair. That is fine. I am comfortable with that.
And I feel like a lot of Belizeans share that sentiment because the amount of workload and the transitioning from one lifestyle to another, because this year is the first year that we're actually fully open. People have not fully recovered from certain strides, certain mental health problems and so forth. So being able to get a day off just on the spur, just like a little reward kind of thing,
I wasn't
it makes
even
you
thinking
feel
that
better.
far, April, but I appreciate the point you're making. I'm simply saying this. Look, you had Saturday and Sunday last weekend for Expo. You needed Monday to recover.
I think a lot of people would agree with you with that one, yes. And then Tuesday felt like a drag.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, wherever you are, welcome back to your week of normalcy, I suppose. And we hope that you're having a fabulous Monday. And we keep you motivated with the eye-opener this morning. And our eye-opener is taken from dailyom.com and goes like this. We experience life fully when we are willing to trust and fall. And in doing so, we may just find that we have the wings to fly. As we create the life of our dreams, we often reach a crossroads where the choices involve the risk of facing the unknown versus the safety and comfort of all that we have come to trust. We may feel like a tightrope walker carefully teetering along the narrow path to our goals, sometimes feeling that we are doing so without a net. Knowing we have some backup may help us work up the courage to take those first steps until we are secure in knowing that we have the skills to work without one. When we live our lives from a place of balance and trust in the universe, though we may not see our source of support, we can know that it is there. If we refuse to act only if we can see the safety net, we may be allowing the net to become a trap, as it creates a barrier between us and the freedom to pursue our goals. Change is inherent in life. Remove fear from the equation, and then we can devote our full attention to the dream that awaits us. When we believe that there is a reason for everything, we are acting with the safety net of the universe, and we know we will make the best of whatever comes our way. Isani, thoughts?
I equate this to what we know as a fear of flight, where we are fearful of venturing off on our own, making certain decisions, following it up with certain actions, because we're not sure of what the consequences are or what awaits us on the other side, so to speak. But it's only in taking these chances that we're able to fully manifest, realize, fulfill what our objectives are. One of those classic examples, of fear of flight is when we, for whatever reason, choose to remain at home with our parents, despite the fact that we may be working, we have families, we have opportunities to be able to venture off on our own. But the fear may be, what if it doesn't work? Do I need to come back home to my mom or my dad or whatever, right? But when you decide, you know what, I'll take off and see where it takes me, you realize, wow, it's a wonderful feeling. Not only are you independent, you make certain decisions, you're able to live with it, stand behind it, but it allows you to be able to establish your own, so to speak, right? And I think that's what I gather from the eye-opener. that it's in the process of taking flight that you're secure by what lies out there. Because the universe in its totality is unending.
Yeah.
So the possibilities are equally as infinite.
I have to agree with you, and I'll take it a step further to say that when you take those risks and those opportunities, it kind of makes you develop a sense of self on a grander scale. It gives you a different perspective of people. The world is so big and vast, and your small, tiny community is just a speck in that circle. And so when you're able to venture off and explore the world and take risks, even if you come back home, you come back home with a different perspective of the world, you come back with a different perspective of life, and you can use that to create progress in your communities.
Yes.
And so I like this eye-opener. Take the opportunities, get that job outside of your state, get that scholarship outside of the country, and take some risks. You never see where those opportunities will take you.
Don't be afraid to fly the coop.
Okay.
Right?
I want to fly the coop, but with this economy, it's a little bit difficult, Sandy. I hear you, right? And I'm like, I don't know if that's the more of I scared or more that I can't afford a mortgage.
Look, I'll be honest. I'll be perfectly honest in saying this, right? It took me a while to be able to gather the strength, right?
Okay.
To be able to run, spread my wings, and take flight. But when I did, I realized, you know what? I was missing all of this all along.
Yeah.
Right? So there we go.
Well, let's take the flight with the weather folks this morning to tell us all about the wonderful risks of being in this country with the weather. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good.
All right, Crystal. Give us that general situation. We had a bit of a weird weekend with the weather.
Okay. A west to northwesterly air flow is setting in.
Okay, and that will move into our 24-hour forecast?
Sunny with a few cloudy spells today and cloudy at times tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated, with a chance for a slightly more inland this afternoon and for a slight increase tonight.
All right, and how does that affect our winds?
Okay, the winds will be from the west to northwest at 10 to 20 knots. So sea conditions will be choppy to moderate.
Okay. And our temperatures, our highs and lows?
The highs for today are 89 along the coast, 93 inland, and 82 in the hills. And for tonight, 76 along the coast, 72 inland, and 66 in the hills.
Okay. What about our outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night?
Partly cloudy skies with isolated showers or thunderstorms developing on Tuesday, and then a chance for slightly more to develop inland and north on Tuesday night.
Any tropical updates, advisories, or warnings?
Okay, in the tropical weather outlook, at 6 a.m., Hurricane Ian was centered near latitude 18.7 north, longitude 82.4 west, or about 90 miles west-southwest of Grand Cayman. Ian was moving towards the northwest at 14 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. Also, there's an area of low pressure located several hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands, which is likely to develop into a tropical depression over the next couple of days as it moves slowly north to northwestward.
Okay. We'll have the folks in later on to tell us more about hurricane preparedness. Thank you so much, Crystal, for stopping in today and giving us that update.
Thank you. Welcome. Bye.
All right, there you have it. And like I mentioned, we will have more of the folks from the Met Service to talk to us about the weather update for this week. But we move on with our Eye on the News.
A number of things have transpired over the past few days. Going into the weekend, on Friday, it was all about what was happening on the political front with the United Democratic Party, of course, where the UDP remains in a free fall. There are certain developments that have taken place, and members of the party are questioning where they stand in terms of the direction that the UDP is taking as an opposition party. This, of course, all has to do with a letter that was sent to the College Area Representative, and this is by the chair of the nomination committee, where Patrick Faber had written to the nomination committee of his intent to offer himself once again for the College constituency.
Yeah.
The chair and the vice chair, from what I understand, wrote back to Mr. Faber, informing him that his application or his intent to run in that area once again had been denied. And it was denied on several grounds, including the fact that it had been brought to his attention on previous occasions that taking to social media to quote-unquote badmouth the party goes against the constitution and certain aspects of the party itself, right? And so as a result of those repeated infractions, his application had been rejected.
Yeah.
Now, when this became public on Friday morning, the firestorm that it created, at least online, where people were sharing their thoughts on what the decision meant for the party, and one would appreciate, one would agree that at this point, the party is in shambles. I mean, if you look at what is happening in the overall system of governance, you need to have a healthy opposition, and
unity.
The United Democratic Party is anything but healthy,
Yeah.
right? And so when people began sharing their thoughts, their views on what was taking place, the natural course for us was to find out from members of the executive, including the chairperson of the United Democratic Party, what the situation actually was. Yeah. And so, while the chairman has been on record to say he is not a part of the nominations committee, he was made aware of the decision taken to leave Patrick Faber on the sideline for now. We also spoke with the former chair, who is the vice chairperson at this point, who perhaps shared a stronger view on the matter. You would also accept, April, that of the 5 of them who are in Parliament, elected as the opposition members, Patrick Faber is the most senior, right? And then you would have the current leader of the opposition and the party leader among the junior. He only has half a term, so to speak, right? The only other person who has had half a term along with him is his aunt, Denise Barrow, Sister B, right? Next to Patrick Faber, you have Hugo Pat with 3, and then Tracy Panton, right? So the question was for people, well, you're effectively sidelining the strongest person who has had all of these wins. So what does it mean for the party, right? And that was one of the considerations. But to counter that, Faber is also being flagged for perhaps violating some of the same codes that he
helped to,
when he was chairman, raised on a number of instances when other people took to social media to do the same, to either disparage the party or to speak badly about the party. And so decisive action was taken then as well. So one would argue, well, what's fit for the goose is fit for the gander, right? So you can't be above the Constitution or above the certain framework that you need to fall within, that makes up the rules and regulations of the party, so to speak.
I think that it's becoming, it's not the first time that they have been in the headlines for this kind of discrepancy within their own party. I would like to hear more about what the party leader would have to say about it, and I would like to hear from Honorable Tracy Panton about it, because when they had, when they did the protest, it seemed very much that the party was finally coming together as a community of some sort because they agreed on certain things. This, however, brings to light that it's not so. And we are sensing an election soon coming up, and they don't seem to have their ducks in a row. So then what does that mean for voters? What does that mean for the party that is in power right now?
The masses, what does it mean for the masses of the UDP supporters who are prepared to rally around a strong leader, but if the leadership in itself is in question, then people are left in limbo. And
I would like to know more about why that leadership in itself is questioned. And I mean, they keep saying things like, oh, they're not agreeing on certain things, he's not following the manifest. But to me, the devil is in the details. What are you questioning? What is lacking? Why are the back and forth? Why do you think that you need to rival against and, compete with this leader of the opposition?
Well, those are questions to be answered within their party, right? When I spoke with Vice Chair August on Friday, he also spoke about the difficulties that they have faced working with the present party leader of the opposition. You would have to understand that when you come into leadership, you come with a certain philosophy of your own. You come with your own way of seeing things and way of doing things. But there ought to be some flexibility where you listen to advice being given by other people who form your core group, but you also have to be able to share your views and the direction that you would want to take, and then it's a matter of being able to find that balance and moving forward. But if you have a certain stubbornness, so to speak, where it's your way or no way at all, then you're not open to advice. And so that when you do fall, people would say, well, I told you so, right? And then the egg is on your face, so to speak. Right?
I think that one of the biggest obstacles is if that is the case, and you're not welcoming advice from the members of your house, your party, they will have trust issues. They will not be able to see how they can get through to you if majority is feeling that this is a wrong decision and you are the only person that thinks is right, therefore you make that decision. The consequences do not fall on you, the leader, alone. And I think that is probably what is lacking in terms of that understanding. That's just my opinion.
So we segue from what is happening within the United Democratic Party to what was happening at the United Nations, where the 77th Annual General Assembly of the UN was being held at its headquarters in New York, right? And so on Friday, Prime Minister Briceño presented before the UN General Assembly, and a number of points were raised by the Prime Minister that had to do with international and, of course, regional and national matters. Of course, we're on the heels of the COVID pandemic, so that was one of the things that was brought up there. There's also the conflict between Russia and the Ukraine, which has its own ramifications and what have you across the UN and across the world for that matter. So there were a number of things being raised by the Prime Minister.
Climate change.
Yeah, climate change was high on the agenda as well, because that's one of the phenomena that we continue to experience, right? Not only within our region, but across the world, and so that's very, very high on the agenda, among the talking points and what have you. And of course, from that, while they were in New York for the purpose of the UN General Assembly, the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Affairs also was able to meet with the Belizean diaspora in the United States, right? And so they had an evening where they were able to catch up with Belizeans living abroad, be able to share with them the progress of the government thus far.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's you have to tip your hat off for this.
Yeah.
Right? It's a move in the right direction to be able to include those who are living outside of the country. Because not only do they come back home to vote every 5 years in some cases, but you're looking at remittances, for instance, where people in the diaspora look back and send and give assistance to their families and friends back home. They still have
that connection to home.
There is that connection indeed.
I appreciate it, and I think that one of the things that we haven't tapped into, we talk about it, right? We talk about, oh, we all have that one cousin that states, but we don't really talk about the way that that helps us out economically, and it gives us a little a level of progress, because whatever progress they make outside, if they are willing to share with us at home, that helps us. We benefit from that. And I think that if anybody wants to continue having that connection to Belizean heritage, are the diaspora that's abroad, because they don't want to lose it, you know. And when my auntie find out that Marie Sharp did at Walmart, right, that made the happiest moment, because then she doesn't have to depend on, it's the fact that now she feels, it's not just a pepper sauce, it's a pepper sauce from home. I can safely say that my birthplace made this, and you're proud of it. They're proud of it.
Proud product of Belize.
Exactly. And so with that continuous level of marketing, right, that helps us. In many, you might not feel it right away on a grand scale, but eventually that progress helps us.
Yes.
I like that.
So yeah, so that's what was happening on the external front. Again, there was that opportunity for the Prime Minister to present before other world leaders in the UN, and there was also that opportunity for him to present to Belizeans living abroad as to where we are as a country.
Yeah.
So we shift our focus now to matters that also happened over the course of the weekend. Two very tragic events. There was the execution of an American national in San Ignacio over the weekend, where Jeff Coates, the proprietor of Replay, was gunned down in front of his establishment. The understanding is that he was shot as many as 9 times, right? We don't know what the motive is, but what we do know about Jeff is that having turned his life around, he used that platform for reform to be able to share with other people that there's a better way, there's life after having made certain mistakes, right? And so it's tragic that this situation has happened. He was the author of a book that was published some time ago, and he was in the process of putting together another book for it to be published as well. And regrettably, his life has been cut short.
Right. I mean, like you said, we don't know the motive just as yet. There'll be an investigation following this. The Compol, Chester Williams did issue out a statement.
Yes, he did.
You know, stating his condolences to the family, and it's one of those things where it's more than just somebody that was shot and killed. It's somebody that you saw could make a life for themselves outside of a system that, you know, clearly he made mistakes. And I think that is the part that people are gravitating towards, that it didn't have to go down that way. He was doing positive things. He was helping out his community. He was trying to show and be an example to other people that were once in his situation.
Yes.
So that, I think, is the part that hurts a lot of the members of his community.
And the final point that we wanted to touch on, again, the issue of suicide is a very delicate one. I know as a matter of policy, we don't normally cover suicide events in our newscast or what have you. However, certain circumstances force us to have to bring the conversation back to the fore. So over the weekend, a soldier within the Belize Defense Force took his own life, and this was while he was in a cell, right? And automatically it brings to question the idea that this is the second such incident where a member of the armed forces has taken his or her own life within a fairly short space of time. All right, and again, we don't know what the circumstances were that led to this individual taking his own life. What we do know is that attention, in a manner of speaking, was given to him prior by someone who's tasked with counseling and dealing with officers who may have mental health or deep emotional issues or what have you. So certainly this will be one of those where we will be asking certain questions against the backdrop of, like I said, the previous suicide that happened in the BDF a few months back.
I think that we are slowly starting to open up a can of worms, if that is the word, those are the words to use in terms of mental health in certain authoritative organizations, how persons are being treated in certain areas, the way that they reciprocate those treatments. And you know, we hear gossip out there, but you never really know what transpires until we see something like this make headlines. And so you have to ask yourselves, what is actually being projected out there as real news, what is actually happening, and how are we making moves to prevent these kinds of issues? Because nobody has to get to a point in life where they feel like they can't anymore and then taken out. Right? And it's scary to say that it is from the same organization within the span of a few months, and we still haven't really been hearing about it. Like the other suicide one kind of came and went, and now this one. So we don't want it to come and go again. We want to be able to stick with the story and learn more about what's happening. So hopefully we can.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our Eye on the News segment this morning. Definitely you will be able to catch these stories and more at 6 o'clock, live on 5, and of course you can catch it streaming on Facebook and YouTube as well.
It's a Matic Monday, and we have a jam-packed show for all of you out there. Our first conversation will be with representatives from NEMO and the National Meteorological Service of Belize to give us an update on how to prepare for a hurricane, and of course the weather that has been occurring and circulating within the tropics, and what we should be expecting in the week to come.
Our second discussion this morning is about the upcoming Culture Symposium, and so we'll have 3 individuals who will be in the studio with us this morning to discuss what we can expect from the presentations for the upcoming Culture Symposium.
And our final conversation is with players of the U19 team. They will be joining us to share their experience of winning the medals in Honduras. So that should be an exciting conversation. But of course, before we get into all of that, we will take a short break and we'll be back with our first conversation. So stay tuned.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
V-Bucks by Belize, Belize's newest multi-brand rewards program. To access V-Bucks, download the mobile app or access the website portal at vbucks.bz and set up your account. If you already have a Belize account, chances are you already have V-Bucks. Don't let them go to waste. To earn V-Bucks, make a purchase at any Belize location or at any of these Belize entities, namely Island Freight Forwarders, Best Manufacturing, Benquip, and B-Mart. Once V-Bucks are earned, reward yourself. Use V-Bucks to buy items or exchange for cash. You can also double, triple, or even quadruple your V-Bucks on promotional days. It is simple. Purchase, earn, redeem. Loyalty is always rewarding with V-Bucks. Brought to you by Belize, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
My beautiful Belize, my land of the free, my home and it's bound by the Caribbean Sea. Valiant and bold, proud we are strong. Belize we rebound at age 41. Belize we are free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. To be whatever you wanna be. Free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. We're changing our country, we're free. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart.
The entire Smart family wishes all Belizeans a safe and happy September celebrations. Smart, bringing people together.
We were born connected to the water, the deep blue, the soil, the salt air, sheer abundance, ritual, water, expectation of the catch, the wind and waves. What lay beneath filled our bellies, sustained our communities. But song fell to a whisper. Her rituals were lost. Communities changed. But now, that song beckons us back to the sea. The generations that came before, and for the generations still to come. Thriving abundant sea is possible. Rebuilding fish populations can be our legacy.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
It's not an everyday household conversation anymore. However, COVID-19's impact still lingers. On Tuesday, September 27th, tune in to Channel 5 to find out what impact has the pandemic had on people living with HIV. What about the LGBT community and other vulnerable populations? The Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition presents Beyond COVID, a discussion on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on members of key population groups across the Caribbean. The conversation starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, right here on Channel 5.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
We are back with our first conversation for this morning. Joining us via Zoom, we'll be talking to the folks from the meteorological and the NEMO to discuss hurricane preparedness. Via Zoom, we have Ronald Gordon, Chief Meteorologist at the National Meteorological Service of Belize. Good morning.
Hi.
And we also have on Zoom Shelton DeFore is the National Coordinator at NEMO. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Belize.
Good morning.
Right. So this weekend we were supposed to be witnessing, we were expecting, I should say, a strange weather. We were hoping to see the tropical wave that would turn into something severe for us. We had an earthquake. So can you talk to us step by step the first weather conditions that were happening throughout the weekend?
Which intensified to tropical storm Ian over the weekend and has now become Hurricane Ian. That system is not expected to have a direct impact on the country of Belize. It is following the projected path very closely and is now moving to the northwest. The system will intensify into a powerful hurricane, possibly a Category 4 hurricane, and affect western Cuba and eventually Florida. Impacts on Belize will be minimal. The system is inducing what we call a west to northwesterly flow because of the circulation across the country. And one of the main impacts that folks, especially along the coast, will see is that an increase in daytime temperature is going to get very hot. And because of the land wind that we're having, which is coming from the land rather than from the sea. And also, your typical afternoon thunderstorms that typically develop inland will likely move to the coast late in the afternoon into the evening. So residents along the coast, like in Belize City or Dangriga, that areas may experience some heavy thunderstorm activity early at night and late evening, due to the fact that we're having a wind from the land that will bring these thunderstorms across the area. But other than that, we're not expecting any sort of tropical storm or hurricane force winds from the system. Storm surge will not occur. That will occur where the systemic landfall, and that is, like I said, moving to the north towards Cuba. So that is basically a synopsis on what we have from Hurricane Ian for the country of Belize.
So when are we expected to feel the effects then, since it's not hitting us directly?
We're already feeling the effects from the system. Winds are shifting to the west-northwest, like I said. So you're having your land breeze instead of wind coming from the sea. So that the circulation, the broad circulation around that system is producing that wind from the land out to the sea. And then, like I said, thunderstorms that develop inland in the afternoon will likely move to the coast and could affect residents along the coast. So you may have strong thunderstorm activity and gusty winds within those thunderstorms as well. However, like I said, the direct impact from this system will not be felt over the country.
So while we are fortunate at this point that we're not experiencing any kind of extremely severe weather, it's still a ripe time for us to be able to speak with the National Emergency Management Organization for a refresher on how we go about preparing ourselves in the event that before the end of this hurricane season we are faced with this kind of weather activity.
Yeah.
Colonel DeFore, good morning.
Good morning, Sonny.
Let's get your position on what we need to do as Belizeans residing in country in the event that we are faced with a severe weather system before November 31st.
Well, the first thing, everyone, every institution, every organization and business, every household need to have a family emergency plan or a business continuity plan to know exactly what you will need to do, where possible step by step. But if you break down the effects from a hurricane, what are the three critical aspects, or perhaps four? You have rainfall, which will cause flooding. So you know that if you live in an area that is prone to flooding, you will need to move out from that area as early as possible. So you need to know your evacuation route. You need to know by what means you're going to leave and how you're going to get there. One of the next effect is wind. Your home, if it is not secured in terms of the hurricane straps are not on your roof is not tied down, the home is not well built, then you know you will lose roof cover. You either have to secure your roof. If you don't have time, you know you will have to evacuate. You have to take your personal belongings with you. All those critical items such as the important documents. The next effect is storm surge, which deals with flooding. So again, if your area will be inundated with floodwaters and storm surge, you obviously, as I mentioned earlier, have to evacuate. You need to be able to establish early, who are vulnerable within your family. So you notify your family members that this is where we will meet you or pick you up. These are the items you need to bring along, something to eat, as much food and water as possible, your medication, which is very important because once you're impacted, shops and pharmacies, etc. will not be open, so you have to have all those critical items with you, have an emergency first aid kit. It doesn't have to be anything extensive, but to deal with cuts and, stomach ailments and things like that, fever and those sorts of things. You need to have flashlight, you need to have your batteries for your flashlight, you need to have radio, battery operated radio that you can listen to what is happening, because once you lose television coverage and it's mainly down to radio communication, you need to get a sense of what is happening. All the fisher folks, the people out at sea who are vulnerable to these kind of conditions from hurricane, they need to go to sea with a portable radio, with their cell phone charger. Their families need to be in tune to let them know, hey Jim, this is the situation, it seems like in the next couple of days, so you need to come in by tomorrow, or don't venture out at all where possible. So that type of early warning, coordination, gathering of critical important items that you will need, and things for kids, for example, the children will be in the shelter, so you have to have some basic things for them to do, whether it's reading or writing or playing games and stuff like that. So we have been here many times before as a country. Belizeans are intelligent people. We know exactly the things that we need to do. One of the challenges we have is how early do we move?
Yeah.
There are times when people, want to wait and see if it's going to happen for real. Sorry, they want to say to themselves, listen, I'm not too sure if it will be as bad as these guys are predicting. So people tend to want to wait around. We're telling people to move early, get out of harm's way, especially as the chief mentioned, these systems undergo rapid intensification around this time of the year. So you're dealing with a TD, tropical depression. When you look, it's a category 2 hurricane. Now this tropical wave that we were looking at days ago will likely become up to a category 4 hurricane.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a category 1 does enough damage.
Exactly. Even a category 1 will do significant damage. Hurricane early 2016 did significant damage to Belize City Southside. Call it Port Loyola, Lake Independence, you know, those communities suffered severe damages to roof and to housing overall, where hundreds of people were inconvenienced. So we have to take heed to the warning provided by NEMO and the Met Service.
Colonel DeFore, let's talk at this point about the shelters. I know that annually there is a review across the country of the buildings that are designated for use as hurricane shelters and what the structural integrity of some of these buildings are. How prepared are we on that front?
Well, the process starts from in January, you know, where the inspection team goes out and looks at the structural integrity of the building, the functionality of the building. Can it function as a shelter? Not only the structure, but will it work or serve as a shelter? Once they do their evaluation and they conclude that the building is safe for use, then it goes on to the shelter list. So the buildings on the list are buildings that were inspected by engineers supported from MIDH, you know, because we are under the broader Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management. So in partnership with our fellow ministry, we get the requisite assistance that we seek, and that allows us to declare the shelters safe, you know, for use by the general public. So buildings that we have on the list, we, you know, vote for those buildings based on the technical teams that inspected them, who say to us as the operations managers that these facilities can be used as shelters. Yes, of course, some of them will not be perfect. Where a classroom had some issues, then we wouldn't use that classroom. And because COVID is dying down now, you know, we could have more people in shelter space in a classroom, for example, where in the past, prior to COVID, it used to be 30, we cut it down to 10 due to COVID, and now we are looking at, you know, increasing it to about 20 persons. But the structural integrity of the building is first and foremost the critical element for us to declare that this building can be used as a shelter. And many buildings have been taken off the list. Some of the schools you're hearing about in the media over the last couple of weeks, those buildings are not on our shelter list, you know? And once we identify and the public brings it to our attention, or school management, you know, or a member of the team, and that building is not suitable, we will not use the building. Sometimes you could use it as an after shelter, after the event, you know, it can be used just as a, but you want to do that closer to the end or outside of the hurricane season, because if you're in there because people are displaced, then another hurricane could come during the set period they're in there, and then you're scrambling to get people to another shelter. But we do take that aspect of our work very, very seriously, you know.
Chief Gordon, yes, Mr. DeFore, I wanted to bring the conversation back to Chief Gordon, because you mentioned something very important, that Belizeans tend to want to wait it out to see what would happen before seeking shelter. And so I wanted Chief Gordon's take on how closely the Met Service actually monitors these activities so that you are reassured that, hey, you need to evacuate immediately. So, for instance, Tropical Storm Ian, Hurricane Ian, how closely is the Met Service of Belize monitoring to make sure that the course is being taken somewhere else?
Very good question, and thanks for bringing it up. We do it 24/7. The Met Service operates on a 24/7 basis. We don't take weekend off. We don't take holidays off. We're always there on monitoring these systems very, very closely. Hurricane Ian, like I said, is going on a projected path to the northwest. However, because it is in our area of interest, especially because it is there, we are watching it very closely, ensuring that that path is being followed, so that if there's any change, anything, any impact that could, or any effect from it that could affect the insulin from the public, NEMO, and of course NEMO will send out an advisory so that persons can be prepared. So certainly, the answer to your question is we are monitoring these systems 24/7 all year round, and especially during the hurricane season. And outside of the hurricane season, there are systems that could affect the country, and we're there watching and monitoring.
Can you give us more information about the tropical activity apart from Hurricane Ian, what we can expect for the next few weeks?
Certainly, we are of course in the middle of we peaked around 7%. September is a very, very busy month, as we can see. And then we're approaching October, which is also we're in the thick of it, and we expect that we'll have more tropical systems forming, and we're not certain where they're going to go as yet. And of course, that brings us back to what we do, monitoring, and of course, looking at all the forecast models, ensuring that we advise the public long in advance if a system is heading our way. One of the very good things, and which is very fortunate for us and for everybody, is that with the advances in technology, the advances in weather forecasting, we're able now to predict these systems, the projected part of these systems, to a very good extent, with some level of accuracy, I can say. Before Tropical Storm Ian was even a tropical depression, the models were indicating that it would come south of Jamaica and eventually curve to the northwest towards Cuba. And that part has been followed very closely because of the advances we have. And that comes from the amount of observations that we do as well. So the Met Service, apart from monitoring, we're releasing those weather balloons every 6 in the morning, at 6 in the evening, and certainly that that information is very critical that we share with the entire world. Goes into the forecast models, and that information of the winds at different levels feed into these models, and it is what basically the models use to predict what will happen in terms of where the steering currents will take systems like these. So the Met Service serves many different roles, like I said, observation, monitoring, predicting, weather forecasting, everything. And it's a collaborative effort between Met Services across the world that has caused the improvement in weather forecast when it comes to hurricanes.
Chief, Mr. DeFore, since Hurricane Ian is looking to go more up north into the Yucatan Peninsula, do you think that we should start to provide flood warnings for people in the north?
As soon as the forecast comes out in terms of the expected amount of rainfall, which comes from the Chief Met Officer or the Meteorological Service, in collaboration with the hydrological unit in the Ministry of Natural Resources, that type of advisory will be prepared and will be sent out to the general public. So, but the main thing I wanted to add as well, on Saturday, NEMO across the country convened its emergency operations center meeting to ensure that everybody was engaged. As the Chief Met said, the prediction, the forecast track is far more accurate, but as an operations manager, we don't leave anything to chance. Because from history and experience, when these systems either slow down to start or intensify, sometimes they change direction. And that was one of the things we were very cautious about. We didn't want to create a ruckus, with the public, but behind the scenes we were preparing as much as we can diligently. As a matter of fact, the islands looked at different scenarios from Friday. In the event they had to shelter in place and did not have time to evacuate people, so they looked at both plans, the shelter in place plan and the potential evacuation plan. And that is synchronized with the Belize City Emergency Committee, ACMO, which has a city evacuation plan to receive coastal communities coming onto the mainland and shuttling them out through the National Transport Committee to either due north or due west inland to Belmopan and Tukai or so. Even though we didn't make any announcements, we were doing our due diligence, making sure that if Ian decided to just change a bit in its track, we would have been in a better position, poised and ready, to respond and to activate, the National Emergency Management Organization.
Tell me something. Emergency management is such a robust thing when you're looking at all the moving parts. You have NEMO, you have the Met Service, you have CMO, you have all these agencies and sub-agencies that have to come together to function as one in terms of effectively evacuating people, in terms of putting them in shelters, in terms of looking after their well-being in the event of a storm situation, excuse me, and perhaps afterwards. How easy or how difficult is this process to be able to coordinate across all agencies and have one unified position?
What makes it less challenging for us now is that NEMO, since its inception, formed committees. So we have national operational committees, which are headed by CEOs and a few by heads of department, which are the national executive level of the NEMO structure, chaired by the Prime Minister with the Cabinet Secretary and designated ministers, including the Minister for Sustainable Development, and CEO. So that hierarchically, that's the national framework or structure. Then you go down at the district level, here representatives or government ministers chair district emergency committee and city emergency committee are chaired by the mayors. And then you go below that and you have village emergency committees. So we have a three-tier system of committees. And committees are based on emergency functions such as alert, information, warning, housing and shelter, relief and supplies, damage assessment, just name a few, medical care and public health, and transport and evacuation, the last one that we touched on. So everything is done within the framework of a committee which has private sector, public sector, and civil society representatives. So for us, because we have a structure and we are in WhatsApp groups to feed information and alert and trigger the system, it is relatively easy in that sense. We have a very unique system, where the national committee function, which goes down to the district level, are embedded within line ministries. So for example, the National Search and Rescue Committee is under the responsibility of the Ministry of National Defense and Border Security, which has BEF, Coast Guard, the requisite equipment, skill set, leadership, and resources to be able to carry out that function. So that is one of the things that makes our job very easy, in the sense that the line ministries, what they do in non-crisis time, they can carry over those skills and experience, training, knowledge, leadership into crisis moments, and that makes it much easier for us to coordinate and to get things done, to respond in terms of the Coast Guard. They are pre-positioned across the country, pre-deployed like the BDF, and just to move personnel and assets from one area to the next to respond to a particular crisis. So it is not as challenging now because they have established this since 1999. So you're looking, at a very well-experienced organization with a good structure. Of course, like every entity, you could do with more resources. So that is a given. But we do have a formidable system that looks after the needs of the Belizean public in times of emergency in a very, coordinated fashion.
Let me go back to something that you mentioned previously, which stated that some shelters that people are using or some schools that people are using are not hurricane shelters vetted by NEMO. So how then do civilians or the public get a hold of the information of what is actually a hurricane shelter and what is not?
Okay, we publish a list of the shelters, the list is on our website. In times of shelter activation, we will publicly list those shelters that will be open so that people will know which buildings, on a compound for a school is the shelter so that they could go to the precise location. So that aspect of notifying the public and providing the information is one of the easier aspect of our work, getting that information to people, letting them know that these are the shelters available within your community, within this area, that NEMO will be opening so that you could see safe shelter. So that's the system that we have.
And then in terms of how you can get in contact in terms of emergencies, so you're trying to get to a shelter, the hurricane is coming, how can they contact somebody for help?
Well, once we send out the advisory, we have an emergency number, 936. So you call 936 if there's an emergency situation that you're facing. But once we put out the advisory, we will be putting out the name and telephone number for all the emergency staff across the country, so that the general public know exactly who to call if they need to call. But from my experience, I've been doing this from my farm in 1999. And yes, people do make calls to the staff, but what people rely on a lot is the advisory that we put out, which is a trigger to let the general public know here there's a threat to Belize. These are the things that you're being advised to do, and these are the places that will be, available for you to go to seek safe shelter. So, because we have done it so many times, from our experience, everything can be improved. But so far, what we have in place does work, and we do provide the access to the public in terms of information and communication, contact numbers for, minimum staff countrywide.
All right. Well, Chief Gordon, Mr. DeFore, we want to thank you both so much for, coming in, whether it was online, to give us an update on how to prepare for a hurricane. I think that we will be following up with you all more as the hurricane season trails on. But thank you so much.
Sure. I wanted to make one last point.
Sure. Go ahead.
In terms of preparation, we have seen drainage being one of the major problems with just excessive rainfall events. You have 3, 4, 5 inches of rainfall within, say, a couple hours, and we have major flooding in our communities, and this could be happening before landfall from a hurricane. So we are urging the general public, all authorities, to keep those drains clean. And the next big issue is having large trees close to homes. If you have a large tree close to your home, chances are, if you're not trimming that tree, in terms of impact on the electrical wires, the tree itself is a major hazard that could fall on your home, and if you're remaining in your home, that tree could fall on your home, and hopefully it doesn't injure or kill anyone, but we have to pay keen attention to those aspects of preparedness as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. DeFore. Thank you, Chief. And with that, we are going to take our next break, and we'll be back with our second segment for today, so stay tuned.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
What is Amnesty 2022? An opportunity for undocumented immigrants living in Belize. Belize wants to help you to live freely and continue contributing to those communities you and your family now call home by offering a pathway to permanent residency. Why should you apply? In doing so, you remove barriers and reduce the difficulties faced living as an undocumented immigrant. Applying is easy. Go online to www.immigration.gov.bz for more information. Find out if you qualify, how to apply, what documents you need, and how to book your appointment. Be prepared. The registration period will be from the 2nd of August to the 30th of November 2022. Belize Amnesty 2022. Let's continue to build Belize together.
baby on the way, here is what you need to know about maternity benefit. It includes both an allowance for 14 weeks and a grant, which is a lump sum of $300. The basic requirements are: you must be employed, you must have at least 50 paid contributions, and you must have continuous contributions leading up to delivery. To apply, a licensed doctor certifies the expected date of delivery. The employer completes the salaries record. Submit your completed claim form as soon as possible. After giving birth, submit your continuation claim no later than 3 weeks after delivery. If the mother does not qualify, the father of the child may qualify for the maternity grant. Want to know more about maternity benefit or grant? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include cath lab, adult intensive care unit, neonatal intensive care unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
It's not an everyday household conversation anymore. However, COVID-19's impact still lingers. On Tuesday, September 27th, tune in to Channel 5 to find out what impact has the pandemic had on people living with HIV. What about the LGBT community and other vulnerable populations? The Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition presents Beyond COVID, a discussion on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on members of key population groups across the Caribbean. The conversation starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, right here on Channel 5.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And welcome back. Our second segment this morning is with our friends who are part of the organization of the upcoming Culture Symposium. That said, we have in the middle Sylvia Batty. She's the co-director of the Heritage Education Network of Belize. Good morning, Sylvia. On Sylvia's right is Miriam Law. She's the presenter of the Modern Realities and Globalization. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning.
And on Sylvia's left is Diane Leng. She's also a presenter for the Belizean Literature, Folklore, and Entrepreneurship. Good morning.
Good morning.
The Culture Symposium. I know it's something that's been going on for at least a year or so. We're about to kick off a second conference, if I may, where we're discussing all things Belizean and the cultures of Belize. What can we look forward to this year by way of the topics that are going to be presented, and who are some of the presenters taking part this time around?
Well, first thing, what can we look forward to? Belizean culture, of course. We are having 40 presentations this year, so it's quite a
One short of the country's official.
One short of that 41, yes. This year around, we have actually a lot of archaeology presentations. So last year we had a lot of Belizean presenters with a variety of different topics, literacy, we had film, we had arts, we had a good representation from our citizen scientists from across Belize. But this year we have quite a few archaeology papers, so we're excited about that because, you know, archaeology is a big thing in Belize. But more so, we also have quite a few community members who are doing presentations on maybe their perspectives and experiences within the Garifuna communities or Yucatec Maya communities up north. So a cross-section that shows, I think, the diversity of Belize. But, you know, the opportunity also for a lot of people to tell their own stories and their own lived realities from their perspectives. And today we have joining us two presenters from our day two. Both of them are presenting on our day two panels, and maybe Miriam or Ms. Leng would like to share a little bit about their presentations.
Let's start with you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here. Well, I am presenting on behalf of Changelings. We're a group of women who started sewing cloth diapers and washable period pads during the pandemic, actually. And we're going to be presenting on period poverty in Belize, some things of how we're trying to address, some problems we're trying to address in our communities, and finding out the larger discussions that are coming our way too, and engaging those.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, good morning again. I will be presenting on 5 Minutes with B. That is an online talk show that I do surrounding entrepreneurship and business catered to youths in Belize and trying to showcase youth empowerment.
So very versatile, a very wide variety. So then tell us, what is the underlying theme then of the Culture Symposium?
Well, the underlying theme of the Culture Symposium is absolutely at its core Belizean culture. I think when people hear that there are so many different papers and different presentations, and they ask, you know, well, how can you have so many different things represented in a symposium? But at the core of this, all of this comes back to Belizean people, who we are, how we express ourselves, how we live our lives, some of the challenges that we have, some of the ways that we, you know, overcome those challenges, and our unique approaches to that. And all of that at its core is Belizean culture. So whether we are talking about, you know, a women's group that is addressing challenges within a community and, you know, creating solutions for Belize on a whole, or whether we are looking at entrepreneurship from a youth-based perspective or archaeology, all of these things come back to our culture, who we are as a people and how we approach and address these things. And so a lot of diversity, a lot of things about what make us Belizean, and a lot of unique voices within this space.
How do you guys come up with a particular focus year on year? I mean, I ask because it's such a broad topic, right? Culture, the Belizean experience. And under that umbrella, I would want to think that you'd have to narrow it down to, you know, while you have 40, which may seem like a lot, when you really look at it, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Last year, actually, we did not narrow it down at all. So we just said, if you are engaging in Belizean culture in any way, if you're doing a research, or if you are a community member and this is your lived experience and you want to speak about it, this is a space for you. So we really try to be inclusive and not only, limit to researchers. And in that inclusivity, we get diversity, but we also get a lot of presentations. And so this year, we did come up with a thematic area. So it is community practices and innovative solutions. And that is actually, it ties into another project that we're doing at Heritage Education Network Belize. We have the World Monuments Fund nomination that we got for Lamanai Archaeological Site and, the historic areas of Lamanai site. And what that looks at is how communities engage with Lamanai, how Belizeans engage with Lamanai, specifically the historic portions of Lamanai, and what innovative practices can we create to better represent that interaction. So how are archaeological spaces represented in our educational curriculum? How do we engage with our archaeological sites? Are these places of learning and connection to our past, or is it, a place where you go and you take a selfie and then you leave? So we did in recognition of that, narrow down to looking at, some of the challenges within communities and the innovative ways that Belizeans are approaching these challenges and saying, this is how I can create a solution for myself. And of course, creating that platform where we can have greater visibility of these projects. So a lot of Belizeans are doing a lot of awesome things in our country, and we want to bring that out and have a space where we have that level of sharing and networking.
So then, Miriam, how does your project, your presentation, tie into community issues and innovative practices?
Well, with when we talk about periods, and we can also go into waste management, and there's a local problem of waste management. There's also a global problem of waste management, and I think we're in the segment of modern realities and globalization. So we're talking about how to look at, what are some old practices that we can revive in modern ways and innovate. When we talk about periods, nobody wants to put on a belt anymore. But there are very modern solutions now that exist, like the period underwear that are made with new technology of materials. There's different ways to do period pads that we're experimenting with, because those are actually sewable. Of course, we did that with diapers as well, that have already been in existence, and you can still buy them in factory-made kinds that are also washable. And then there's the cup, the menstrual cup, which we have found in our conversations within our circle and the friends around us and the communities around us, that the default is just to have that and use is the disposable item. And we have all kinds of reactions, whether like, why would you want to do that again, or people say, where was this when I had my periods? So, and it's of course the innovation that we can see for Belize that can come in. There are lots of natural materials here that we grow. I mean, there's banana fibers now that's being introduced in terms of processing, which we've already grown in agricultural ways. There's talk about hemp. These in some of the places are also being used as newer single-use pads. Why can't we see that in a little industry here, that in other places there are also plants being run by women? They're in India, in Kenya, in Uganda, some of the ones that we follow, of little micro plants using locally sourced material to make single-use disposable pads. So we're presenting on, of course, reusable items, but because of the research and the space that I think Cultural Heritage Network Belize has allowed us, we're also finding a global conversation that, wow, we can see we're tackling this, but there's really a lot of different ways that we can start engaging in and considering things that we probably never have considered before. Like, we might have just stuck to pads, but we're just finding out that there are so many things happening in this area of just thinking about periods and doing periods better.
All right. How are you, Sunny?
Normalizing talk about
yes,
it. Yeah.
Normalizing talk about it for sure, because that we know is not part of our Belizean culture. But also, when I hear this, I hear banana fibers. That's our green waste. We have such a huge banana industry, but a lot of people don't know that one banana tree gives one bunch. Then it has to be cut down and replanted, and all of that goes back into green waste. And then we're looking at entrepreneurship, and we have so much talk in our society right now of micro and small enterprises or MSMEs and the levels of support that is coming through for them, especially post-pandemic. But are we looking to reinvent the wheel with the same industries that were there, or are we looking for new and innovative industries? And then also access to so much things. And this, we might be talking about period health here, but this is translatable to paper. This is translatable to paper bag. This is translatable to packaging. If you talk to anybody that makes earrings or makes candles, soaps, one of the big things that they will tell you is packaging is a challenge. It's paper-based solutions that we're looking at. It's reusing waste, and so the innovation and the ability to apply this, like Miriam said, across so many different spaces. This is what we're really bringing forward. And we might say, okay, this is entrepreneurship, but this is changing our mindset. This is changing how we approach our lives. But also, this is going back to the way our grandparents lived our lives or lived their lives, and sort of speaking to your elders, speaking to people in communities and saying, how was it back in your day? And what learning from our elders, what connection, what history can we bring forward into the way we are living our lives now? Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. And it does go back to having those conversations as well.
So then, Deanne, we talk about innovative practices with the reusable period pads. So how does entrepreneurship then, for your panel, tie into this thing?
Okay, so when it comes to my presentation or how I tie into the culture symposium, with 5 Minutes with D, it is a show, yes, for youth, by a youth, but how many talk shows have we seen youth-led, youth-produced, to give such information? I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurship, and we're talking about periods and pads and all these different things that when you think about entrepreneurship, sometimes it's usually like a surface level word where people just see profit or general business concept. And that is where 5 Minutes with D comes in, because we look at entrepreneurship from a very broad-based perspective. We look at it from a social perspective. How is it impacting our communities, from a standpoint where how are issues such as mental health or domestic violence or things like single mothers, how does that affect you as an entrepreneur? So it is more than just, going into like that classroom mentality where you share theories or use fancy jargons that barely anybody knows, and just bring it down to a very, understandable way to people. Something that, just get straight to the point and make it relatable. A lot of times we go to school as young people, and, some of us might admit that we not learn nothing, and that's not because maybe the teacher does a bad job, but we're using American textbooks or textbooks from around the world that has nothing to do with how we live our life. And I guess that's where like the culture comes in, how we come about from, youths are creating businesses from practices learned from home, and those aren't used as examples for creating businesses. And that is where 5 Minutes with D, that's what the presentation will show, how that show creates more than just a 5-minute conversation, but how we create a platform for youths to be, understood, and especially to be heard in this society where we're not really as unified as before, or as heard as, as heard of, sorry. So just bringing back that unity in community.
I don't even get poetic there just now, but unity in community. Wow. That's very nice.
What are the various mediums by which these presentations will be made?
So it will be available on, all the presentations are pre-recorded, and then we will have live question and answer segment panels for audience engagement with our presenters. It's available on our Facebook page, Heritage Education Network Belize, on our YouTube channel, Heritage Education Network Belize again, and it will be live streamed by Colorblind as well, so it'll be on their channel. So Dee mentioned 5 minutes with Dee, she's just her brand now. But she mentioned a really, really good point of a lot of our education system uses foreign materials and it doesn't represent our Belizean reality. And that is the reason why we started the Culture Symposium, because we realized there's a lot of information that's coming out of Belize, a lot of research, a lot of lived experiences. However, this information is not accessible within our education system, and especially to our students. So if you want to look at a research on Belize, it's, you know, in a foreign research journal, you have to go to a library. And so when we were planning this symposium, the first time around, accessibility became very, very, very important for us. So we don't have it on a Zoom, there is no meeting link, it'll be on our Facebook pages. So if you're scrolling on Facebook, it'll pop up. If you go to our page, you can, you know, register for the event. All of that information link will be there. If you're not on social media, it's still being streamed on YouTube, and you don't have to log in or any of that stuff for it. And it'll be over 3 days, so it's the 5th to the 7th of October. Starting 8:30 in the morning. I tried to start it off a little bit later. But yeah, robust presentations and accessible on Facebook, accessible on YouTube. And if there are comments or questions for the presenter, we will grab all of those from YouTube and from Facebook. So you still have that opportunity to ask your questions and engage one-on-one with the presenters, even though, you know, we're not on a Zoom link or something like that. And of course, you know, we're really appreciative of Colorblind for agreeing to partner with us to create this accessibility as well with their channel.
Will the presentations be accessible after the symposium?
Yes, so all the presentations from our past symposium and this upcoming one are accessible on our YouTube channel. So we have the full streaming of the days with the question and answer segments, but we'll also have individual presentations available, so to encourage accessibility again. So teachers, educators, students out there, Heritage Education Network Belize, our YouTube channel, there's a lot of information on there about Belizean culture. We already had 40 or 39 presentations last year. It's all on our YouTube channel. Look out for this next 40 coming up next week.
Culture, what does it stand for? Culture. Right, because don't tell me already that they spell it wrong. So culture.
Yes, so it's actually, it's a culture, the word, the Creole is KOLCHA, but for us it's an acronym. So it's keeping up with language, culture, heritage, and the arts. So that's our symposium. So if you ask us what the Culture Symposium is about, it's Belizean, of course, but language, culture, heritage, and the arts.
Nice. Brilliant. And October 5th to the 7th, yes. 40 presentations.
40 presentations.
And will there be a program summary out? Will there be abstracts out? Okay.
So all of our information is accessible on our Instagram, Facebook, or our website. A lot of the presenters have been sharing as well, cross-posting. Thank you so much, both of you, for cross-posting our information. But the program summary is already out, so you have the title of the presentations, what times they are going to be. If you can't make it to all of them, you know, look at the program and decide which one you want to go to. You can always catch the replay of the presentations again on our social media channels. But they are accessible on our Facebook page, Heritage Education Network Belize, and on our YouTube and on our Instagram, and of course our website. Our website has an entire symposium section dedicated to our symposium, so all of that program information is here. So we try to make it as accessible as possible. Some people say, we don't have Facebook. It's okay, we're on Instagram. Or like, we're not on Instagram. It's like, okay, we have our website or our YouTube, so we are there. We are there.
I saw last year you guys had surprise keynote presentations. Will we be having keynotes this year?
We are having 4 keynote presentations for our 3-day symposium, so we doubled up on one of our days. But yes, so we've had, support in terms of helping us with accessibility and visibility from persons in Belize. So we have a lot of archaeology presentations, and we are very grateful to Dr. Melissa Badillo, Director of the Institute of Archaeology under Niche, for giving a keynote address and talking about, the importance of archaeology, but also of Lamanai Archaeological Site, because our last day is a day dedicated to Lamanai and Indian Church Village. So there's a lot of very specific information to that community. And also in honor of our World Monuments Fund nomination, we'll have keynote addresses from there. We'll have student representations as well. So we did get a wonderful, wonderful student from the University of Belize who was kind enough to share, similar to our 5 minutes at the over here, the perspective of the Belizean youth. Because at the end of the day, if this information is to create accessibility and to create networks, but to reach within the education system, who we need to reach are the youth. And so I want to hear from them, or I would hope that Belize also wants to hear their perspectives and if they find this an important space or not. And then for our day 1 keynote speaker, y'all just have to tune in to find out. And it'll be exciting.
I mean, we talked about youth, and I know we have to wrap up, but do we have a lot of youths presenting at the symposium?
We have quite a few Belizean youth, and that's sort of one of the most rewarding portions of the symposium, to see young people involved in talking about their culture, talking about their history, talking about how they are making the change. Our youngest presenter is actually 16 years old.
Wow.
So we're really, really excited to have those presentations, and his one is based on archival research looking at British policies toward the Ikaiche Maya. So when we talk about decolonization or colonial resistance, indigenous resistance in Belize, that's the paper to look forward to for that one.
Wow. Well, they're telling me that we're out of time. So one more time, where can we catch it? What dates?
5th to the 7th October, Heritage Education Network Belize, YouTube, Facebook. Our website, heritagebelize.org, has all of that information as well, and the program summary, and it'll be live streamed on Colorblind Multimedia.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for stopping by. We look forward to watching the symposium. I look forward to it. And with that, we're going to take our next break, and we'll be back with the U19 Championship team. Stay tuned.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Come to J&J Steakhouse for premium steaks and a fine dining experience. It will be love at first bite. We offer signature dishes, cocktails, decadent desserts, and an international wine cellar. Call for reservations at 205-2526 or 624-0500, or contact us on Facebook or Instagram. Opening hours are Monday to Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Come and taste the difference at J&J Steakhouse, 10.5 miles Philip Golson Highway in Ladyville. Good times, great taste.
celebrities, are you?
Messi. Off goal! What a goal from Leo Messi! What an incredible strike from Leo Messi! Neymar and Messi standing over this. Messi. Off goal! What a goal from Leo Messi!
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
My beautiful Belize, my land of the free, my home and it's bound by the Caribbean Sea. Valiant and bold, proud we are strong. Belize we rebound at age 41. Belize we are free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. To be whatever you wanna be. Free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. Changing our country, we're free. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart.
The entire Smart family wishes all Belizeans a safe and happy September celebrations. Smart, bringing people together.
It's not an everyday household conversation anymore. However, COVID-19's impact still lingers. On Tuesday, September 27th, tune in to Channel 5 to find out what impact has the pandemic had on people living with HIV. What about the LGBT community and other vulnerable populations? The Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition presents Beyond COVID, a discussion on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on members of key population groups across the Caribbean. The conversation starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, right here on Channel 5.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marion Alley, Paul Lopez,
Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
With our final conversation for this morning, the U19 team. Joining us in studio, we have the coach of the U19 team, Albert Humes. Good morning. Malcolm Murillo, Cyrus Samuels.
Good morning.
Nicanor Requena.
Good morning.
Preston Smith. And joining us via Zoom, we have the second best attacker, Elazar Mejia. Good morning. So, just for a small summary for those at home, this is the U19 volleyball team.
Yes.
All right. So, talk to us about your experience in Honduras.
Captain.
Okay. So, as captain, it was new to me. This is my first time being captain of a national team. I have captained high school teams, but it was very new to me. I had to adapt very quickly to changing environments where my athletes or my fellow athletes on the team would get injured or needed things. As we were in like a new environment for them as well. It's a Spanish-speaking country, Honduras. Many of the guys don't speak good Spanish, so I had to be there translating for them and making sure that they could get around and do what they wanted to do. But as captain, I had to find the courage and the strength to lead my team when situations got difficult. The stress of the game did get to some of us, but as captain, I just had to be there reminding them, you're doing a good job, you're doing good, we can pull this off.
How long were you all in Honduras?
10 days.
9 days.
9 days. And what was the experience for some of you, it being your first championship game?
We had played in smaller tournaments in Belize before, but we have never placed third or anything like that. So it was quite an experience.
How was the competition like? What teams did you play against?
I think our most exciting game was Costa Rica, because they were the biggest team out there. But I wanted to play them from I saw them, but we had to wait till the Wednesday. But unfortunately, we lost that game.
What's so special about Costa Rica?
The whole team tall.
The whole team tall?
Everybody was over 6'2".
It was basically an individual challenge for him, because when he sees people that he thinks is as good as or better than him, he tends to want to take that person on. So he had one person on that team that he wanted to challenge.
Oh, this is a personal vendetta.
Yeah, it's basically, so that made Costa Rica one his highlight as per se, you know.
So your coach, talk to us about how you carried this team through to this championship.
I think the beauty about this team was that we had the guys them in camp at a longer period of time. Also, we also had Cuban coach Yamil, that because the other coaches work during normal hours and these guys are available, especially during the summer. So he had the ability to give them some weight training and more longer time spent with the players' individual skill. So by the time competition time came around, they had that physical strength, that mental strength, and also, the game, the different scenarios in game situation make them. I think this team was one of the most prepared youth team that had attended any tournament in the past. In fact, these guys made history over 32 years. We were trying at this level, and we just accomplished making medals. We get individual awards, which is normal for Belize, but that group award where we got that medal that is around their neck was never done before. So it shows the hard work that they had put in, shows the fruits of a team, not individual effort, but as a team effort now.
Why so long though? Is it something where fundamentally the coaching staff or the organization may have been lacking something as to why it could not translate with the team on the court?
Struck rough question. I think the COVID helped some of these guys to mature more. Okay. That gave them, instead of that 2-year gap, because it's a 2-year gap, and they changed the age, so they had like 3 years to mentally prepare. So they were more mentally stronger than the team before. Also, the core trained longer, right? We have a big problem in Central America, sorry to be negative at this part, where most of their tournaments are in November, December. So we only have summer to train these guys when school is off. So you have a whole month or 2 gap that they go right back to their old self, so it's very difficult. But this time was a perfect opportunity where we had them up to September, early September, straight through. So they were together and we didn't miss a beat.
I ask because oftentimes we talk about sports development and getting young people engaged in sports at an earlier age so that they could perform better, faster, so to speak. And hearing you mention the length of time that it took for our under-19 team to achieve this feat, while I'm proud of the guys for having had that accomplishment under their belt, it speaks to the fact that there's still a long way for us to go in terms of getting them up to scratch faster.
Yes, and that's where the BVA is working hard to try to follow the long-term athlete development type program that is in other countries, you know, where they have this 2-year cycle where you have U15, U17, U19, and these guys grow. And think also from the fact that these guys were together from U15?
U17.
No.
Some
of these guys are longer time in, I think it's Elton Camp.
Yes,
so they had more time together developing. So that process now is start happening because these guys are starting to learn the fundamentals of volleyball at an earlier stage, right? We're just fortunate that at this time this team was not the best team, but most team that was together, and the individual talents came together to bear this fruit that they have now.
Let's go around and get from the guys a sense of how important this sport is for each of you and why perhaps you chose volleyball over any other discipline that you could have been engaged with. Let's start with you.
For me, volleyball is like almost a part of my life because I kind of spend, every day we spend 3 hours at training, especially during the summer. That is like 6 hours. So that's almost a quarter of the day. For us, volleyball started in like primary school. We started off like, I think it was in standard 5, you know, the primary school games and stuff. And then later we developed and we went to our first tournament back in 2019, the under 15 Kadikadir games. We did well, but it's just development over the years that brought us to this stage now. And also, like, we did a lot of individual work with our coach because it's only like 12 of us, so we had a lot of individual work done. And I guess now we're here.
Well, for me, I was practicing with the male team that went away last year in like October. So I had a little more time than the other guys to improve and get ready for this tournament.
Let's go to Eleazar in Punta Gorda. Talk to us, Eleazar.
Is your mic on? Cut, we're having...
There we go.
Completely. Okay, so for me, I'll say I've been playing volleyball since primary school. Well, me and Nick were in the same primary school, so we started playing volleyball around the same time. For me, I say, well, I'll talk about this team. This U19 team was a very structured team, as Coach you mentioned, and I was really proud of being on this team. Like 2 years, 3 years ago, I was on the U17 national team, which was quite nice too, but that year we came in 4th place, and me, that year, I played well, in my perspective, but I knew that there was a year to come that I would home with a medal. So I feel great at the moment, but great that we are here. I'm here now with the medal. And besides the medal, I have my wonderful awards, but volleyball has been a great part of my life. Since primary school, I've been training like 5 hours a day or more to develop the skills. And there are sorts of things that I still need training on, but in due time.
Let's get to
actually, a couple of weeks ago, my friends were asking me like, how do you guys train like 3 hours every day, especially at night? And because that's like something foreign to them. And to be honest, our goal was to come back with a medal. So we are training twice a day, doing anything to come back with a medal and doing things like that. Volleyball literally becomes a part of you. It's literally a part of me. So, and ever since I saw, I think it was 2015, 2016, the last time when Belize hosted a male tournament, I think. When I saw Brighton play for the first time, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I wanted to play volleyball. And I wanted to win a medal ever since then. So.
Finally,
yeah. Well, like Eliza said, I've been playing volleyball since primary school. Since like the end of standard 6 is when I really picked it up. In primary school, we went to nationals, the primary school nationals. We didn't do that good, but it was an incredible experience. The energy in the stadium, even at that level, it was just amazing. I just felt a rush, and I wasn't that good, but I was hooked. I wanted to be really, really good.
Yeah.
So I believe it was February, right after December, right after Christmas. I really picked up, and I went to the high school training camp they were having. That's Toledo Community College. They were training. They were about to send a team to Codica there, and I trained through the summer that year. I trained all the way until November when the season started, and my first couple months, I think I had only maybe 2 months of training. I was the starting libero for a high school team. I had replaced the senior guy, so that was the work was paying off for me. But I sacrificed my summer to just improve my skill, and I figured out that, you know what, this is what it's going to take to be good. I'm gonna have to sacrifice my summers. I'm gonna have to put in extra work if I want to be the best. So let's see. Volleyball has really been ingrained into me now. Every event I go to, just the energy, the atmosphere of the events, just the crowds itself, the support that volleyball gets is just incredible. And I really feel that I can't go anywhere without thinking a little bit about volleyball. Training for this team has just been incredible. Like everybody says, we had to put in work during the summer with our coach, Yamil. We had to do weight training, which was a first for me, but I enjoyed it. And you have to put in that work if you want to bring back a medal.
So then where to next, Coach? Where are these guys going now?
Well, the next stage for volleyball is in October here, the U21, because I say it's two-year stage, right? To 17, 19, 21, 23, then senior. So some of these guys will be on the U21, and we're supposed to be participating in the tournament in Nicaragua. Yes.
Right. Guys, I think it's safe to say that you did your country very proud, and of course yourselves, and maybe you'll be Costa Rica next time.
That's the only. By the way, that's the only team we have never beat in male.
Okay, so there you go, right? Standing challenge is set. But we want to congratulate you, and we hope for the best.
Thank you very much. Can I say a quick thank you, because there's a lot of people behind the scenes that work hard. First of all, I would like to thank Coach Yamil, our Cuban coach that came in to help, Coach Wallace Tillett and Gillian Smith that were on the coaching staff. Also our BV, it is the hardest working executive. I'm on it, so it's a very hard working to try to produce quality product to Belize, no? To the family or the parent that supported these guys, because they have to go to school, right? And they have to maintain a high grade just to get out from. So we have to thank the family, and most of all, we need to thank these guys right here for putting the hard work, right? And thank the country of Belize for supporting volleyball. And guys, volleyball it's on its way up. In fact, it's already high. You're always interviewing Brighton and these different guys. Well, these guys will soon be the feature on Open Your Eyes. Right? So look forward to great things. And thank you guys for having us today, you know.
And yeah.
I would just also like to thank Miss Lupita from the Stars Volleyball Gym. She really developed us from a young age, and then after that, she took us to many tournaments, you know, for development. We went to Mexico, some cities in Mexico like Tulum, Merida, and so on. And then we moved on to Mr. Elton Anderson. He's a national team setter for his senior team. He's really one of my greatest role models. He has his own volleyball camp. And, you know, I think we wouldn't be here today if he didn't found us way in primary school. You know, we're like his prodigies. So a big thank you to him.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. And with that, we are going to take our final break, and we'll be back for wrap-up. So stay tuned.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
It's not an everyday household conversation anymore. However, COVID-19's impact still lingers. On Tuesday, September 27th, tune in to Channel 5 to find out what impact has the pandemic had on people living with HIV. What about the LGBT community and other vulnerable populations? The Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition presents Beyond COVID, a discussion on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on members of key population groups across the Caribbean. The conversation starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, right here on Channel 5.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
And we are back just like that. Monday morning, Open Your Eyes has come to a close. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and we want to thank our guests for dropping by to have the discussions. Thank you to Nemo, not the Belize Met Service, the ladies from Heritage Education Network Belize, and of course the U19 team. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always drop us a line right here, oye@channel5belize.com. You can catch our live stream on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, or highlights on Instagram at OYE Believe. We thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
See you tomorrow. Have a safe day. Believe.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.